first of all, I always tell people, don't chase the money, help the people and the money will come. If you're, looking at, oh my God, I can make 10,000 if I sell this house. Well, I've sold some where I've made 1,500. The little ones that we have in Kings Point, but I've got one client that's bought 5 from me. So, that 1,500 times 5, even though I've had to work for each one of them, so I don't know. I'm just doing it, but that's the main thing. I think if you're chasing the money, you're not going to make it.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Happy Agent Podcast, and I am Jeff Beggins, one of your hosts today, and we're here with my brother,
Greg Beggins. How are you?
And Mike Puma.
And Mike Puma. And today we have a really cool guest with us today. We have Sandy Tams, and Sandy is from our Sun City Center office. Been with us for a while and has quite a cool, interesting path and past that kind of led her, as we always joke about, nobody ever dreams about being in real estate. Their path leads them to it. So I find it fascinating to find everybody's path, how it ends up here to today. So now I'm going to introduce Sandy, and Sandy, kind of take it away and give us a story, kind of where Sandy came from and how you evolved to where you are today. So welcome.
Thank you. Well, I'm a couple years older than those that you've been interviewing, and I have a lot of history behind me. Starting in 1967, I became a flight attendant for Eastern Airlines and decided to be based in New York. Since I was a small town girl, I thought how exciting to go to the big city of New York. After 2 winters in New York, I said, transfer me to Miami. Fair weather girl from California couldn't take those winters. And anyhow, I wound up in Miami and flew for Eastern Airlines for a total of 8 years, marrying one of their pilots. And we decided at one point that living in Miami wasn't where we wanted to raise children. And after 4 years of marriage, we finally had our daughter. And we decided to move to a little town north of here called Brooksville. We picked out land and built a lovely home there, and I became a cattle rancher, so to speak. I had as many as 31 head. You're laughing, Jeff. I had as many as 31 head of Black Angus cattle at one time, and I raised a litter of Labrador Retriever puppies and also 2 children. And of course, had stopped flying for obvious reasons to raise children. Anyhow, we lived there for 10 years, and very involved in doing all kinds of various volunteer work. I was president of our Junior Service League for the 50th, and I should say, and very involved in the church and the schools. So my husband decided he'd had enough commuting and mending fences, and so we moved to North Tampa. And as you know, Eastern Airlines went defunct in 1990, and he had to go find another way of work. And anyhow, I went to the gal that had helped us to buy our home on Lake Magdalene, by the way, and told her, I said, hey, we're going to have to sell our house. We can't afford it, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I've been to work now for 15 years, raising kids and doing volunteer work. What am I going to do? And she said, well, you've got the background of people service and you're very pleasant, yada, yada. She says, you know how managers are. They encourage everybody to become realtors. And so anyway, I decided to go ahead and go to school and do it. And I went to work for a little company up in North Tampa that I don't believe is even around anymore. And after about 6 months, I went, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I've got teenage children. Texting, paging me. We didn't even have cell phones to speak of then. And mom, always this one was fighting, that was fighting, and then getting upset when I would have to go show a house or something on the weekends. So I was sitting on floor duty. Newbies got floor duty then. And this gal bebopped in, just a cute little bubbly thing, and she asked me if I knew anybody that would like to be in one of the models at Cheval and spell the salespeople there. And I went, and she told me, the conditions and everything. And I thought, hey, that just might be it. Monday through Friday, have weekends off, get a salary, and be able to be home on weekends. So that's where I started my new home sales bit. After a year, yeah, it just kind of fell into it. So after a year, I realized that wasn't really going to be my niche. They didn't give me any training, just like being a glorified hostess with a license. So I thought, well, maybe I need to do something. Charlie yesterday was talking about how he bounced around for a while before he decided on what to do. So anyway, I got a call from one of the realtors that had brought people through, and she said, I heard that you are no longer at Cheval, and I have this friend that is out in Walden Lake in Plant City. I'm in North Tampa, remember?
Yeah.
And she said, they're looking for salespeople, and you would just be perfect for there. And I went, okay, opportunity. She said, these people will really train you and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I wound up going out I made an appointment with the sales manager and zipped out there in my little short skirt. I was younger then. and anyhow, they hired me. And I was in Walden Lake for 8 years and eventually moved to Plant City and bought a house there and just loved that beautiful community. So I was selling house and amenities, lifestyle, and that's kind of been my niche. So then Walden Lake was finishing up, and the manager had transferred here to Sun City Center. And he said, I want you to come over here with me. Oh dear, another commute.
Yeah.
45 minutes,
Was that Jerry Starkey?
Well, Tom Riley was the manager at that time. Yeah.
Okay.
I knew Jerry Starkey and Al Hoffman and Charlie Brazington. I knew all of those guys, of course, as a sales not really well. So anyway, I'm trying to make it as short as possible. So I came to Sun City Center and eventually moved down this way and again, selling homes and lifestyle, amenities. And so then when, the bottom fell out and new home sales, where you could shoot a cannon off of this beautiful sales center we had. It was just a gorgeous place. I had a very lush office, just really a lovely place. And let me stop and think. So I went, what am I going to do now? And so I had worked several times with this agent in town that had her own brokerage. And she said, well, come to work with me. Well, I was kind of tired of the micromanaging and the big corporate attitude and everything, thinking that, and of course, along the way in my new home sales career, I had tested the waters for other places, thinking they might be better. It's not always true. And so always stayed with WCI all that time. Didn't really go anywhere else. So anyway, so I went with her and floundered around, because that was the downturn of the market, and managed to survive it. And after a year, I had run into, I'd known Bob Pasquarello, and he kept saying, come on and go to work with Century 21. So I interviewed with Deborah, and I went back to the broker on the other side, and she promised me all kinds of things. And I really felt guilty about leaving her because, it was a tough time. So, another 6 months went by, and none of the things that she promised me were coming true. And again, I was floundering and working hard, showing 30 homes a day sometimes, it seemed like, because, we had so much inventory then. And anyhow, I called up Deborah, and I said, I'm coming. And I've been with Craig and the gang ever since. And always been, one of the top salespeople, except for a few years. Even in new homes, I was always, either one or two. So, I just work hard, take care of my clients, and answer my phone. I know that's always a topic. And wear my name tag. You see I have it on? Well, I was in a doctor's office. I had a name tag. I was a flight attendant. I had a name tag. New home sales, you have a name tag. And it's just a natural thing. I don't know who I am without a name tag on.
Now, Sandy, one thing I find interesting about that story is I don't think a lot of people who may not be from the area understand those areas that you mentioned, but what years were you in like New Tampa and Brooksville? Because I know I moved down here in 98 and New Tampa was really just getting built. I mean, out, north of Bruce B. Downs really was nothing. I mean, it was cow pastures.
That was rural. Well, we moved to Brooksville in 1976.
Okay. So there was nothing else out there.
Yeah, my daughter will be 45 in July, and she was an infant. Okay, there was nothing out there, and so at the time we had to rent a house until our home was built, and it was 30 minutes for me to get to a store to get a gallon of milk, and so it was nothing to haul the kid in the car, station wagon, by the way. And take off into the big town of Brooksville. At the time, it was very small, but it was just a lovely little community with big, beautiful oak trees, and the courthouse was red brick, and it was hilly, and that was the appeal for us, because of the ruralness of it, and we were able to build a house that we liked. And of course, now I would change and do a whole lot different, how it is.
So how did you, selling in those communities though, and in areas before they're really developed is challenging, right? It's a challenge that a lot of agents that watch this are facing in their local market. Obviously now we're in some challenging times as an entire globe, but in that markets that you were selling homes in, they were not like super high demand, ton of community, ton of growth. Like they were really just starting. So what was that like? How were you so successful?
New Tampa did not exist when I would have to drive into the University Mall, where that is.
Yeah.
And I would take the back road, which is now where Wesley Chapel is in all of New Tampa. And it was a 2-lane road. And there was no housing except for one maybe or two developments that were starting. Tampa Palms was not even there at that time, and Hunter's Green. When I went to Walden Lake, we became competition for a lot of the areas in Brandon, Bloomingdale area. And also New Tampa, then Tampa Palms and Hunter's Green. They were competition for us. And a lot of the things that we had was busloads of companies transferring their people. And so we would do the dog and pony show and the tours and everything. And we were big on having brokers, lunches and things like that, and really stroke the real estate companies, more so than I see anymore, the brokers opens and things of that nature. I see them once in a while, but nothing like we had them then. One day, I'll tell you this story. One day I happened to be standing at the front desk of the sales center we had at the time, and this guy got out of an old beat up car, and he had on a polyester suit, and I said, boy, I bet this guy can't afford anything that we have. Came in, paid cash for a house, so you never prejudge how people look. And so I learned a lot of lessons and along the way, and I shared that with people coming on board. I really feel that the new people today need to hear the stories that we have to tell, and I help all I can. When I have a listing that is vacant and they can do an open house, I encourage the new people, because that's how they get their contacts. Now they may not sell my listing, but they'll get contacts. So,
Sandy, go ahead.
You said throughout, you didn't find your niche until you realized you were selling lifestyle and homes.
Yeah.
Right? And Walden Lake was a lifestyle laden community.
Yeah.
Sun City Center is a lifestyle laden community.
Correct.
When you made the switch from new home sales to resales, I assume you kept the lifestyle sales process.
Right. Well,
right?
yeah, exactly. And that's why I've stayed in Sun City Center. Obviously, I'm the age of the people moving here, and so they parallel with me or relate. You know, I mean, they have that common, and they find that you know, I know the amenities. I know that I have people coming to me all the time. What's the name of this house? That's one neat thing that we have here in Sun City Center is we have almost the names of all of the homes that have been built here. You know, you got to stop and think we go back to 1962. So this is an old community, well established, all the amenities here and everything, and it's just a great place, you know, to retire and affordable. You know, so many of the new 55 plus communities, you can't get in there for less than 300,000 or more. You know, so like just like the new one in Waimama.
So how do you explain that you've done 17 transactions so far this year?
Is that how many I've done?
Yeah.
I don't keep count. I'm not. I would probably drive you crazy, Craig. I just take one at a time, and I take care of the people, and some are doubles. You know, where I've helped them to buy and helped them to sell. Some are returning clients that I've had over the years. Others are calling on my listings, and you know, and I'm taking care of them. In fact, I'm going out this afternoon and showing a couple that are moving from Zephyr Hills to here. They've chosen to live in Sun City Center, again, affordable. And I'm showing, I think, 7 properties this afternoon, which is a lot, you know. We really don't usually have that many in the price range that they're looking, but you know, right now the way it is. So with last month, I closed 4 properties. This month, 2 already. And if I have the buyer and we're doing the walkthrough, we do the hand sanitizer and the mask, and they're driving their own cars, which, you know, normally they would be in my car. So, you know, we just can't do that right now.
Yep.
So that's it.
What I think is fascinating, one of the reasons why we wanted to have you come on here is, you know, you hear us talk all the time, everything works, right? And it does. But what you do is consistent, right? I mean, you're at the top agent. Luncheons every quarter, right? You're a solid top producer. You always have been. I mean, and you just do a great job. But you do real estate, right? The way real estate is done. You meet people, you connect with them. I think one of the best things you have is the ability, the empathy to listen and pay attention, reading through your testimonials and your reviews. It's a common theme throughout all of that. Sandy listens and she pays attention, does a great job. I felt really comfortable. You've got this nurturing side of you and I had no idea you were a cowgirl before, but maybe it was the 31 heads of cattle kind of help you get into that empathy. But that just really works. So you don't need Facebook, you don't need Instagram, you're not doing TikTok, you're not doing geo-targeting, you're just doing regular people real estate. Then you find people that need to buy and sell. You know, look what you just talked about. People come from an open house. You get a listing from your past clients or your sphere, a sign goes up, marketing goes out, calls come in, you connect, you answer your phone, which is critical, right? And so you take that phone answer, you connect with them, you listen to what they want, you give them what they want, you get a deal. They become your past clients, they send to your friends. So it's wash, rinse, repeat. But right now, you're not really going over to Indian Rocks Beach to sell condos or downtown St. Pete or Harbor Island or back into New Tampa, right? You're pretty much focused in on your niche right now. So
anybody that wants those areas, I refer them.
That's important, right? And I think we've seen that with a couple of other interviews that we've done through the series, though. Once you pick a lane, right, and pick a niche, like how in the world could you know if there was a name of a house in Pinellas Park? You just don't care, right? Yeah. But you know that it's the Sandpiper or whatever the name of the model is in this specific neighborhood in Sun City Center. And you know that that one is better for this couple because this couple, you heard that they said that they like to play tennis, right? And you happen to know that the tennis courts were refinished over in this complex not that long ago. This is the local knowledge that you have that makes you that trusted resource and just amenity. And this is so duplicatable to anywhere around the country and world And I think sometimes people get caught up that they need to go big and start broadening out and hit the digital marketing and the social media marketing, when the reality of it is you're going to do 30, 40 deals again this year by just staying in the neighborhood and being Sandy and listening and paying attention.
I must say, though, that I have 2 listings coming up outside of Sun City Center, and I'm so excited because it's so seldom that I get to do that. But again, I've helped both clients, help them buy, and they're now having me list their homes. So, you know, they're not that far away, so it's not like I'm
right
on the other side of.
But they came from your farm. They came from your sphere, right? So these people, they didn't just come in off of one of your Facebook ads that you're not running. They came in because you did a good job to them before, and you own trust in their mind.
Yeah.
And then that just gives you the past client. So I think a lot of people forget. Donna Reichenbach, she'll be one of our future episodes here coming up too. She's for 15 years worked 4 streets, Sandy,
Yeah.
right? Four streets in Madeira Beach. And
Yeah.
that's it.
That's it.
But that's all she works. But from there, I mean, they do very, very well. But from those 4 streets comes the business like you just talked about, because they have a cousin and a brother and a sister and an aunt and an uncle and a neighbor and a buddy, right? All of them have that. So they just become that circle of trust that they just own real estate. So you're just fortified into your clients' minds. Now, I was talking with Deb Haley, and the number 1 word she comes up with you is tenacious, right? And you're like one of the rocks inside of that office. So it's so cool to see such a sweet, empathetic, caring person, but knowing that you have that tenaciousness in front of you, that when somebody wants a house, and you're going to go get it. And it's just fun. That's
exactly right. I work them until they either buy a house or they tell me to go away. In most cases, I help them find a house. And now I've got folks right now that are coming down to buy, and then happened, and they've had to delay their times down. I've worked with homes in the area on the last year or so, and so I keep in touch with people too. I think that's important. I use the auto notification to keep showing them the areas where they're considering buying. I've got one client that wants to be down in the Parish area, and of course I don't know anything about Parish other than I lived in that area, but it's changed so much as well. And that I tried to get them to let me refer them, and they said no, we want you to help us. So I do go outside of Sun City Center.
Right.
So Sandy, what's the drive? Right, you've been very successful for a very long time. You're on track to do another 30, 40 deals this year. You didn't even know that, right? So obviously, what it's not money. What is the drive for you that says, you know what, I still want to do this, right? I still want to get up and I still want to put in, because listen, you've got a great system and you've got it down packed, but doing 30 to 40 transactions is still a lot of work. So it's not like you're not working. You're working very hard. You make it look easy because you've done it so successfully for so long. But what's that drive for you that gets you up every morning to want to go do it and not even pay attention to actually how many deals you're actually doing?
Well, one thing, I like helping people. That's where it starts, is helping people. But I like the money. We all like the money. I look forward to vacations and having nice things, and being able to, take the Hawaiian vacation for the top agents that looks like it's going to be canceled or next year. Things like that. It's not really a hobby for me, but just it keeps me young, keeps my mind sharp. The relationships I've made over the years, are priceless. The people that have touched my lives over the years, I treasure, and I just look forward to the next one. Some longtime friends, some I never see again. You always have that. You aren't don't have the camaraderie of everyone that you work with and help.
Sandy, what do you think, looking at the agents that have come and gone out of the industry, right? You've seen them from new home sales to general nonstop. What do you think the biggest weakness is when people come into this industry that causes them to fail? You've kind of seen it. You probably haven't paid so much attention because it wasn't super relevant, but what have you noticed that is what happens that people, it just doesn't work for them?
Well, first of all, I always tell people, don't chase the money, help the people and the money will come. If you're, looking at, oh my God, I can make 10,000 if I sell this house. Well, I've sold some where I've made 1,500. The little ones that we have in Kings Point, but I've got one client that's bought 5 from me. So, that 1,500 times 5, even though I've had to work for each one of them, so I don't know. I'm just doing it, but that's the main thing. I think if you're chasing the money, you're not going to make it because you're worried about it. And I always tell anybody that asks me, well, I'd like to be a realtor. Is it hard? And I say, yeah, it's hard. And I tell them they better have at least 6 months of money saved up or another income coming in because it's going to take at least that long. Right, Craig? It's going to take at least that long or longer before you can really, make a living at it. So
that's a great point.
And don't spend everything. Don't spend everything that you make. Always keep that nest egg and that cushion.
Right. One thing I noticed with agents is they think they have it figured out after a quarter or 2 or 3, right? Yeah. And the reality of it is you're still new until you're at least 5 years into this business, right? Everything changes. There's so much to do.
Oh, well, it's continuing to change for me. I had a lot of dear friends when I was at Walden Lake that were in general real estate. In fact, I'm still close with some of them. And, when we started having had the downturn of the market, they decided to retire. They were a little older than me. But, I haven't let all this new stuff stop me. Just keep going with it and doing what I know and taking care of my clients.
I think I know the answer to this question, Sandy, but, we're facing a financial crisis right now. How worried are you about your business going into this or being in this financial crisis?
I'm not.
Not at all.
No, not at all.
There's just more people for you to help, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, answering my phone. I've been calling former clients, asking how they are. I've been, sending emails to those that still have their email, touching base. And I have, Mike, been putting your posts on my Facebook page. Not every day, but and I did open up a business page. I mean, I'm still trying to stay up with technology. I figured out how to get on Zoom this morning. So yeah, I'm very blessed. I have a 96-and-a-half-year-old father that we're having to stay somewhat separated, but now getting back in touch a little bit. And my mother that just passed away in January, she was doing texting, she was on Facebook. She didn't let being old get in her way, and I guess I follow right in that path. So,
one thing I always notice about you is
I have a daughter, and go ahead.
No, I'm saying one thing that's consistent with you is every time I see you, there's a big old smile on your face, right? You're happy. The energy, the vibes that you give out are just they're attractive vibes. People just want to be around you because you're a great, happy, good person that cares. And I think what also is an underlying thing is, do you think that there's any other agent that can give better service than you?
Oh, I'm sure there is, but I don't think I'm the
best. But you haven't met him yet.
I partnered up with my friend Dick Wilson, and he has a totally different approach than I do, but we work well together, and we know that if we can't take care of somebody, that the other can. and we trust that they will be taken care of, so you got to have that too. You find somebody so you can get away, and all you have to do is plan a vacation, and that's when you get busy.
That's right. That's right. Where I was going with that though is the trust that you portray when you're talking with somebody is there's nobody else that they're going to think is going to do a better job than you, because you listen, you pay attention, and you really just kind of give them the best experience that you can, and they can feel that even before they have that experience with you. So that's, and I think in your mind, that they're in the best hands ever. If they hired another company or another person, they wouldn't get the same services they get from you. They wouldn't get the level of caring and experience on there. So that's what I think just comes out just from when somebody just meets with you and talks with you.
Well, I try to be honest. And if they ask me what I think about a particular property, if I don't think it's right, or if I see things that are, with the resales that there's issues with the property, I don't just ignore them and walk away. We'll point them out before they sign the dotted line. They need to know if I see something, would I buy that house? It's maybe, I'm not going to live in it, but, I just point it out.
Well, you're certainly experienced in home buying yourself. I think you rattled off 10 or 15 houses you lived in.
The longest I've lived anywhere in my entire life is 10 years, and that was in Brooksville. So I'm looking forward to this one. Where I'm living now, I've been in it 6, so I've got another 4 to go.
So Puma, I can already see it from flight attendant to cowgirl to real estate top agent.
Yeah, this is a tricky one to title, because the reality is when we get someone that's got your level of experience and expertise, it's just there's so many things and little nuggets that I think people could take from you. And I hope that they watch this and realize that really this business is simple. It's just not easy. Right. And you've proven that. You've proven that it's very simple. If you just come at this and say, listen, I'm going to help people. I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to learn my market so that I know it like the back of my hand. And then I'm going to give you the best experience possible when you're buying or selling your house. This is an easy business. And then the hard part is just staying in touch, right? Which is something you've been able to do. And so I hope the agents that watch this really take that away. But yeah, your experience makes this difficult to title. So
how are you going to title it, right?
Yeah, now I got to figure it out.
Well, my biggest takeaway from you is I think the best advice to agents that are watching this is never chase the money, right? Just help the buyers and the money will come.
And the money will come. Absolutely.
Well, it's funny. I wrote that down. So I think that might be our title here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And recap for me. You started new home sales in Cheval. What year was that? Like 85, 86?
1991.
1991. So you started your sales career in 1991, which is 30 years ago.
Years ago. My life was for 30 years.
Wow.
So I haven't been a member of GTAR until because I didn't need to in sales. Just a very short time that I was with Sun Cove Realty.
I remember them.
Yeah. Pat and Gail Green.
That's right.
Did you know them?
Yeah. They did a lot of foreclosure business.
Yeah. He tried to take me under his wing. I think he had other.
You know what that just proved? Because let's see. Symphony Realty started in 1990, so I got 1 year on you in the real estate business. But Century 21 didn't start till 1992, so you got 1 year on me.
Yeah, I went when I was at Cheval. That's when General Schwarzkopf lived there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ultimate in security.
That was the year I graduated from high school.
I know. I'm. Your mother and I are around the same age.
Yeah.
But I tried to get my daughter to get into real estate, and it just wasn't rich. But she's done very well with her insurance business. So, and then my son-in-law, as you know, has been doing inspections for years. So I've got I've got, now that they've been in their industry long enough, my son-in-law especially, I treasure his expertise and what he does. I don't steer people to anybody. And, you know, with lenders, home inspectors, any of those, I give them a list and say, here's who I recommend. This one's my son-in-law.
Wink, wink.
And, yeah. And a lot of times they'll say, yeah, if you trust that he's going to do a good job because he's your son-in-law, he's probably going to do a great job. And so, and then there are others say, well, maybe I'll use somebody else, and that's fine with me. But again, you know, it's not like I don't want that responsibility of I've picked this person, and if they don't do the job, that reflects on me. So, you know, I'm very careful with that.
Love it. Well,
I just
Sandy,
helped my son new home, by the way. He just closed. My son just closed on a new home over on the Space Coast.
all right.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's still over there building rockets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, this has been really awesome, Sandy. I want to thank you for
Alrighty.
taking the time to be here with us today, and a lot of good nuggets. So those of you who are watching who have not had 30 years in the business, pay attention, stop chasing the money, take care of the customers, and just learn some little nuggets from Sandy. So thank you for your time. And any last words, Craig? Any parting words from you?
No, I just honor your commitment and your talent and your caring attitude. I mean, I can tell you, after all the years we've been together, I can't think of one complaint I've ever had against you.
Thank you.
Not one. So
Thank
you're
you.
a joy to have on the team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you,
guys
Sandy.
have a great day, and thank you for inviting me to do this. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Sandy.
Bye.